talk about the evolution of seed plants. So the seed plant consists of an embryo, stored food, and also seed coat. So before the seed coat happen, it consists of a nucleus enveloped by one or two integuments with a micropyle. So when fertile, the nucleus will contain a megagametophyte composed of nutritive tissue and archegonia. After fertilization happens, the integuments will develop into a seed coat. So the function of the seed coat is to protect the embryo and increase chances of survival in unfavorable conditions. From the diagram below, we can see the seed coat, embryo, endosperm, cotyledon, shoot, and root apex. Seed coat will protect embryo and hibernate while waiting for the right condition to grow. Embryo that contains shoot apex and root apex will develop to shoot and root. Endosperm is a source of food for the embryo. So the embryo will grow by gaining nutrients from endosperm and also cotyledon.
Good day to everyone. So for today, I, Nur Aisha, will be presenting about gymnosperm. So a gymnosperm is also known as naked seed due to two reasons. Firstly, is because gymnom means naked and sperm means seed. Secondly, is because their seed are not enclosed by fruits. So there are four living groups of gymnosperm. Firstly, we have conifers. So conifers signifies plants that bear cones. It is commonly found in northern temperate regions such as Northwest California. So they have tough needle-like leaves which conserve water because they have a thick cuticle and recessed stomata. They are also monoecious, which means that they carry both male and female reproductive structures. Currently, they are consist of 630 species of trees, including pine tree, spruces, which makes a good Christmas tree, cypress, a landscaping plant, and also firs. So this is our group 3D model, which is the cross-section of conifer seed. As we can see right here, the purple layer, which is the outermost layer of the seed, is actually the seed coat, and the yellow thin one is the embryo of the seed. The orange is the store food of the seed. So how can we obtain this conifer seed? I will explain it to you in the next slide, which is the conifer life cycle. The life cycle of conifer, firstly we have pollen cones, which is the male part of conifer, and we also have seed cones, which is the female part. So in pollen cones, there are two pollen sacs that lie on the other sides of each scales, and in seed cones there are two ovules that lie on the upper surface of each scale. So within pollen sacs, the meiosis will produce 4 microspores, and within ovules, meiosis will produce 4 megaspores, but only one will survive. So each microspores will become a pollen grain, which consists of 2 wings and is carried by the wind during the pollination. Only one of the megaspore will undergo mitosis and develop into mature female gametophyte, which consists of 2 to 6 archegonia, and in each archegonium contains a single large egg lying near the opening of the ovule. Once the pollen grains reach seed cones, it will become a mature male gametophyte. A pollen tube will digest its way slowly toward the female gametophyte and will discharge 2 non-flagellated sperm. One of these sperm will fertilize an egg in archegonium and produce a zygote. After fertilization, ovule matures and becomes seed, which composed of store food, seed coat, and embryo. So in the fall of the second season, the now woody and hard seed coat will open and release wing seeds. When a seed happens to germinate, the sporified embryo develops into a new pine tree, and the cycle will continue. The second living group of gymnosperm, which is cycads. So cycads include 10 genera and 300 species of distinctive gymnosperms. They are native to tropical and subtropical regions. They are commonly used in landscaping, and they have largely finely divided leaves, which resemble palms or ferns, depends on their height. Their trunk is unbranched. Unlike conifers, cycads, pollen, and seed cones are on separate plants. Their cones grow at the top of the stem and surrounded by leaves. They can also be huge. Cycads exhibit typical genome sperm life cycle, except that they are pollinated by the insects and their pollen tube bursts near the archegonium. Their multivagellated sperm swim to reach an egg. Next, we have ginkgos. So ginkgos is dioecious, which means that they will produce either male or female reproductive structure. Their fleshy seeds give off a fall odor and will ripen in the fall. They are also resistant to pollution and they are native to China, and in some Asian countries, their seeds are considered as delicacy. Lastly, we have gnetophytes. So gnetophytes are represented by 3 living genera and 65 species of plants. In all gnetophytes, their xylem are structured similarly, which have no archegonia and have a similar construction of cones. Some gnetophyte species produce nectar, and they are pollinated by insects. The first genera of gnetophytes is Gnetum. Gnetum consists of trees or climbing vines with broad, leathery leaves arranged in pairs. They also occurs in the tropics. Secondly, we have Ephedra. Ephedra is a shrub with small and scale-like leaves. Ephedrine, a medicine with serious side effects, is extracted from Ephedra. They occurs only in southwestern North America and Southeast Asia. The last genera is Welwitschia. Welwitschia has only 2 enormous strap-like leaves that fray as it gets older. They are living in the deserts of southwestern Africa.
Angiosperms are the combination of angion, which means vessel, and the sperma, which means seed. The angiosperms are the flowering plants. So these angiosperms include all the hardwood trees of temperate deciduous forests and all the broad-leaved evergreen trees of tropical forests. Also, all herbaceous snowy plants such as grasses and most garden plants are flowering plants. This means that all fruits, vegetables, nuts, herbs, and grains, which are the staples of the human diet, are angiosperms. They provide us with clothing, food, medicines, and other commercially valuable products. The flowering plants are called angiosperms because they are ovules. In the Greek derivation of their name, angio, which means vessel, is refers to the ovary which develops into fruit. Until recently, the earliest known angiosperm fossil was Archaeopteryx leioninensis, dating back 125 million years to the Jurassic. Archaeopteryx is a stunning fossil with fruit and flowers, giving a view into what some of the early flowering plants may have looked like. To find the angiosperm of today that might be most closely related to the first angiosperms, botanists have turned to DNA comparisons. Gene sequencing data singled out Amborella trichopoda as having ancestral traits. Amborella trichopoda may not be the original angiosperm species. The gymnosperms were abundant during the Mesozoic era but declined during the mass extinction that occurred at the end of the Cretaceous period. Angiosperms survived and went on to become the dominant plants during modern times. Actually, monocots and eudicots are known as cotyledons, which are the seed leaves containing the nutrients that nourish the plant embryo. If a seed has one cotyledon, it is known as monocots, while if a seed has 2 cotyledons, it is known as eudicot. Several common monocots are corn, tulips, pineapples, and sugarcane, while eudicots include the cacti, strawberries, dandelions, poplars, and beans. Flowers has unique structures which divided into 4 parts, which is sepals, petals, stamens, and carpel. Sepals is known as calyx, which protect the flower bud before it opens. This sepal may drop off or may be colored like the petals. The second one is petals. Petals is known as corolla, are quite diverse in size, shape, and color. The petals are often used to attract a particular pollinator. Next are the stamens. Each stamen consists of two parts. Firstly, the slender stalk called a filament that holds up a second structure, a sac-like container called the anther. Pollen grains develop from microspores produced within the anther. And lastly, the carpel. The carpel is a vase-like structure with three major regions, which is stigma, style, and ovary. Stigma is an enlarged sticky knob. The style is a slender stalk, and the ovary is an enlarged vase that encloses one or more ovules. The ovule becomes the seed, and the ovary becomes the fruit. Fruit is often instrumental in the distribution of seeds.
Next, I would like to give explanation about flowering plant life cycle. In this subtopic, we will look about pollen development, egg development, pollination, fertilization, seed development, and fruit development. Firstly, we will talk about pollen development in male part of the flower. If we look inside the anther, we see diploid cell called microspore mother cell. To become haploid, it had to undergo meiosis and it become microspore. And it undergoes mitosis to become pollen grain, which is flower's male gametophyte. Inside the pollen, we have tube cell and generative cell. Tube cell will make the tube to the ovary, and generative cell will generate the sperm cells. So this is the process of pollen development. And how about in the female insect, which is copper? If we zoom inside the ovary, it has ovules. In the ovules, there's the diploid cell, and it called megaspore mother cell. So this diploid will undergo meiosis, forming haploid megaspores. Typically, only one megaspore will survive, and the other three disintegrate. This megaspores undergoes 3 rounds of mitosis divisions. 1 nuclei becomes 2, and 2 becomes 4, and 4 becomes 8. But only 7 cells have gone through cytokinesis. This is female gametophyte. One of these is an egg, and another contains 2 polar nuclei, and the other 5 called synergids. This is the whole process in egg development. Next, the flower needs pollinations. During pollination, pollen is transferred from the anther to the stigma of a couple. Here, the cell produces a pollen tube that carries the 2 sperm that generate from cell generate to the microfield of an ovule. When they get here, they're going to have a double fertilization event. One sperm unite with an egg forming a diploid zygote, and the others unite with polar nuclei forming a triploid endosperm nucleus. Zygote in the ovule start dividing by mitosis. The embryo has cotyledon, and we will let it grow by getting nutrients from endosperm. By the time embryo matured, the ovule becomes detached from the wall of the ovary. Its integument thickened and hardened into a seed called, and it will becoming the seed. Next, the last one, we will see the development of fruit. In this event, the ovary swell and the flower parts fall off. The ovary will continue to grow into the fruit. Sometimes, other parts of the flower are incorporated into the fruit. Some fruit are fleshy like apple and tomatoes, and some fruit are dry such as a peapod and acorns.
Lastly, we will talk about flower and their specifications. So flower phenotype may diverge with plant lineage when moving across pollinator climate. So what is pollinator? Pollinator is an animal that moves pollen from the male anther of a flower to the female stigma of a flower. It helps for fertilization of the ovules in the flowers by the male gametes from the pollen grain.